Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are tackling a massive one. We're exploring the ultimate story of light versus dark by mapping out the entire Harry Potter epic, from the very beginning to the very end. It's a huge, intricately woven tale, but by contrasting our hero with his ultimate nemesis and looking at their parallel destinies, everything really clicks into place.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with The Boy Who Lived, dig into the origins of Lord Voldemort, cover those wild 7 years at Hogwarts, break down Horcruxes and sacrificial love, and wrap it all up with the final battle. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Boy Who Lived. The Inciting Incident.
So our journey actually kicks off the exact second the fates of an orphaned infant and a dark wizard became permanently locked together. Before Harry Potter could even walk, a prophecy dropped, claiming a boy would be born with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord. Naturally, this put Voldemort on a direct collision course with the Potter family at Godric's Hollow. You've got the most dangerous dark wizard of the age squaring off against a defenseless baby.
Now, when Voldemort showed up, taking out James Potter was almost too easy for him. But when he turned his wand on baby Harry, well, Lily Potter stepped right in front of the curse. And that willing, sacrificial love, it created this ancient, incredibly powerful protection. Voldemort's killing curse violently rebounded. It completely disembodied him on the spot and left Harry with nothing but that iconic lightning bolt scar.
If you're a story nerd, you might know the term impact character, basically someone who represents the absolute total opposite of the protagonist's core values. Voldemort is the ultimate impact character for Harry. That tragic night in Godric's Hollow set the stage for a massive 7-book clash. A boy whose greatest superpower is his capacity to love, going up against a monster who literally views love as a shameful weakness. He just wants power. Which brings us to Section 2, Origins of Lord Voldemort, the pathological villain.
You know, if we really want to understand how to defeat a monster, we've got to figure out how he was made in the first place. And the thematic juxtaposition between these two orphans is honestly striking. Tom Riddle, that's Voldemort's actual birth name, was the product of a totally loveless union. He was only conceived because his mother used a love potion on his muggle dad, and then he was raised in this incredibly cold, harsh orphanage. Now look at Harry, born out of genuine, true love, orphaned by violence, and raised by terribly abusive relatives. But here's the kicker. Despite both experiencing intense neglect early on, Harry kept his profound empathy, while Tom just never had any to begin with.
Riddle didn't just accidentally stumble into the dark arts, right? He actively chose cruelty right from the jump. Long before he even knew he was a wizard, he was terrorizing the other kids at the orphanage and collecting these little trophies from his victims. Very creepy magpie energy. Once he got to Hogwarts, he manipulated his teachers, totally rejected the idea of having actual equal friends, he wanted subservient followers instead, and became violently obsessed with his pure blood lineage through Salazar Slytherin.
This quote from J.K. Rowling really hits the nail on the head. Behind all that intimidating posturing and pure evil, the name he chose for himself, Voldemort, literally translates from French to flight from death. It's such a massive tell. It reveals a deeply terrified human being who is so desperate for immortality, he'll destroy absolutely anything to make sure he never has to face the great unknown. All right, Section 3, 7 years at Hogwarts, the 5 major drivers.
This timeline perfectly maps out the dramatic engine of the whole saga. It starts with that initial attack back in '81, followed by Harry's early victories in years 1 and 2 against Voldemort's spirit and memory. Year 3 takes a pivot, but year 4, that is the ultimate crisis driver. Voldemort actually pulls off a terrifying physical resurrection using Harry's own blood, and that one moment sparks all the tragedy in years 5 and 6, basically guaranteeing the final all-out war in year 7.
I absolutely love this fan summary because it's so quick, but it perfectly captures those annual, crazy mysteries the trio had to deal with. I mean, think about it. Every single year, while these kids are just trying to survive exams, intense teen hormones, and Quidditch matches, they are unknowingly marching straight into an epic, world-defining war.
Now, let's talk about that horrific graveyard resurrection in year 4, because something incredible happened. When Voldemort and Harry cast spells at each other, their wands connected. This is known as Priori Incontatam. Because their wands shared phoenix feathers from the exact same bird, the magic locked up, forcing these ghost-like echoes of Voldemort's recent victims to appear. And yes, that included Harry's parents. This incredibly rare magical anomaly is literally the only reason Harry survived that night.
But it wasn't just the battle of good versus evil wizards, which really complicates things. The heroes were also fighting a wildly corrupt government. The Ministry of Magic totally buried their heads in the sand, refusing to believe Voldemort was back. They even planted the cruel Dolores Umbridge at Hogwarts just to silence Harry. And, eventually, The ministry falls to Voldemort entirely. They install a puppet minister, set up a totalitarian police state, and actively start hunting down Muggle-born wizards.
Moving into Section 4, Horcruxes and Sacrificial Love. Mastering Death.
So, here's the million-dollar question. How on earth do you kill a wizard who has already conquered death? I mean, the guy already took a rebounding killing curse to the face and lived. But the secret to his defeat actually lies in his own horrific vanity, and ironically, his deepest fear. To pull off his pseudo-immortality, Voldemort turned to the darkest magic imaginable, Horcruxes. By committing the ultimate evil, murder, a wizard can literally rip their soul apart and stash a fragment of it inside an object. Voldemort split his soul multiple times, anchoring himself to the mortal world using items of immense historical vanity, like the ancient relics of the Hogwarts founders.
Voldemort always thought he was the smartest guy in the room, operating totally solo. But destroying these Horcruxes was a massive group effort. Harry, Dumbledore, Ron, Hermione, even Neville, they all took one out. Taking Voldemort down relied heavily on the exact thing he despised and completely misunderstood, the deep bonds of friendship and loyalty.
But, plot twist, there was a shocking 7th, totally unintentional Horcrux. It was created on that fateful night in Godric's Hollow. When Voldemort's killing curse rebounded and his soul fractured, a piece of it panicked and latched onto the only living thing left in the room, Harry Potter.
And that brings us to Section 5, the final battle, the choice.
Everything just explodes at the Battle of Hogwarts, which is also where Harry learns the devastating truth. He literally has to die for Voldemort to be defeated. When Harry accepts this and takes the curse, he wakes up in this ethereal limbo version of King's Cross Station with Dumbledore. And Dumbledore's words here are just incredible. They perfectly capture the core themes of the whole epic. At its heart, this is a story about choice, about sacrifice, and the absolute supreme importance of love.
Harry didn't even try to fight back. He willingly walked right into the Forbidden Forest to sacrifice himself. And by putting his friends' lives above his own, Harry fundamentally shattered Voldemort's power. His sacrifice triggered the exact same ancient protective magic that his mother Lily used 16 years earlier. It cast an invisible shield over every single person still defending Hogwarts.
Let's break down exactly how this epic concludes step by step. First, Harry actually survives the killing curse again, because Voldemort used Harry's blood to rebuild his body, ironically keeping Lily's protection alive. Second, that stubborn piece of Voldemort's soul inside Harry is finally destroyed. Third, during their final showdown, the supposedly unbeatable Elder Wand outright refuses to strike its true master, who it turns out is Harry. And finally, number 4. With 0 Horcruxes left to save him, Voldemort's own curse rebounds right back at him. He literally engineered his own permanent end.
So, I'm going to leave you with a final thought for today's explainer. Voldemort had all the power in the world, boundless ambition, and 0 respect for the laws of magic or nature. But when the dust settled, it was just a boy's capacity to love, his willingness to sacrifice, and his reliance on his friends that truly saved the wizarding world. It really makes you wonder, if the obsessive quest for immortality strips away your humanity, is a mortal life driven by love the only true magic? Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.